Welcome to BudsAnatomy, a Busy Buds Co web series with founding consultants Arif, Isabel, and Kathy as they explore personal and organizational health for performance growth.
In our last episode, we shared the needs of organizations and employees. This week's episode, we highlight how to grow trust in organizations, especially in this volatile period.
Why is growing trust important? Mutual trust is important for every relationships. Good relationships breed a workplace that has psychological safety, which leads to more productivity and openness to change. In this time of invisible and inevitable change, we need more trust.
What is trust? Trust is confidence, trust is belief, and trust is the core for all relationships. It's saying, I believe in you, I believe you'll do the right thing, and I believe you'll do what you say you're going to do. And we just want to encourage our viewers saying it's never too late to start growing trust in your teams.
That leads us to the next obvious question, which is, how do we grow that trust? Let's begin from a team member's perspective, because it works both ways, yes, but there are things specific to an employee that we can do to build and enhance this culture of trust within an organization. And one way to do that is through accountability. So what is accountability? It's when you say, I've got this. Accountability means you will deliver a promised on-time, within budget project. But accountability also means you're forthcoming when you fall short. So let's look at the hard part of accountability. What do we do when we fall short? And that is learning to deal with the consequences and act appropriately on it if something goes wrong. So I'd like to share a quick story of one of my personal experiences in this situation. I was a young lawyer, fresh eyes in a firm. We were working on a big project at that time in the team, and an email went out to the client from the team lead, and a portion of the email that I was in charge of had a major error. Then the partner in charge of this project noticed this after the email had already gone out to the client. He sent a one-line email to the team which read, "Who is the idiot who sent this?" Now, I could have let it slide and let it be a blanket failure for the team, just leave the partner wondering who it was. Instead, I took a deep breath and said, you know what? I'm at fault, I just have to own up to it. I went down and spoke to the boss, and he was surprised. In fact, I was surprised when he turned to me and instead of shouting at me, said, I respect that. Just make sure it doesn't happen again, all right? Did that change the way we worked? Of course. He continued to trust me to do bigger and more important work as time went by. And before I left the organization, he repeated those same words to me. I respect you, and I hope you carry on this attitude.
Yeah, that's really nice to say how it impacts both the employee and the leader. And I think also we want to see what can we do as leaders to start building and growing that trust within our team. Start with the why. We've been speaking about the impact of things a lot. So this is about creating ownership in your teams. And you can do that by gathering your team and saying, we want to begin with the end in mind. We want to share what we want to achieve and where we want to go, while simultaneously giving them the space to decide how, what methods, what approaches they want to use to achieve that goal. So being really driven and passionate about the why, but not being too hard on the how. And when you focus on the end goal rather than the daily actions, that also increases the productivity in the team. A company with people who take ownership is a company that moves forward. And a Japanese proverb that I'd like to share is, vision without action is a daydream, but action without vision is a nightmare. And that has been true and seen in many, many organizations and teams.
As we talk about accountability coming from employees and setting the tone from the leaders, we need to also understand how can this be two ways. And that boils down to having clear communication. There's been a statistics done where about 57% of the employees said they've not been given clear direction, and about 69% managers said that they're not comfortable talking to their subordinates. There are some hows that could be fixed, and one is having that clear yes and no. Maybe does not exist here. I either can do it or I can't do it, or I need to make sure that I give my feedback well. And that boils to having that specific feedback to measure what is going well, what doesn't, and how can we calibrate our actions to be on the same wavelength. To do that, communication isn't all about speaking well, it's also about hearing better. So how can we then be proactive in our listening, creating that environment of openness so that everyone can speak and the feeling of being heard? That leads to a very important proverb, communicating for the person rather than communicating to the person. To sum up, accountability and ownership grows trust. And communication is the linchpin that holds mutual trust together. So let's practice growing trust.
Share with us how you grow trust in your teams, especially in this environment.
Next week, we explore how to focus on goals over tasks to increase productivity in organizations.
Book your free consulting conversation with us by dropping us a message or emailing us.
Be a bud. Join us as we journey together towards better growth and performance.
Thank you and have a great growth week ahead.